In Malaysia, a framework for safeguarding sales of good by description is established by the Sales of Good Act and Consumer Protection Act. The implicit requirement under this act is that the good must correspond to the description given at the time the contract is formed. Since the buyer relies on seller description instead of physically inspecting the actual good, the idea of sales of good under description has legal significance. There are several elements sales of good including reliance on description. Second, there is implied condition of correspondence where required the seller to make sure the product match the description given by the law. Lastly, the buyer remedies offer the buyer a range of options if the delivered good did not match the description. Example of sales of good that did not match the description include purchases made from online retail that purport to be 100% pure silk, but it was a cotton once it's received. For more explanation, there is an act after this to make you more understand about what is our assignment topic.
Hello, Miss Marina.
Hi, Miss Tiva. Please have a seat. Thank you, Miss Marina. And have a drink. Okay. So yes, Miss Tiva, I received a call from you. What's the purpose of your visit?
So, Miss Marina, I recently purchased this laptop online. This is the receipt for the purchase. And what I received is completely different from the description of the online shop.
Okay.
It is like I have been scammed by the online seller. So, is there anything legally that I can do?
Yes, of course, Miss Tiva. So as a buyer, you will be protected under SOGA, which means Sales of Goods Act. So you will be granted a protection under SOGA, but for you to understand, there are a lot of provisions that will give you protection. These provisions are:
Hi and Assalamualaikum. Now I will talk about the provisions of the sale of goods under description. The Contracts Act 1950, which applies to all contract encompassing electronic transaction, falls short in addressing the dynamic of online dealings. However, it lacks updates to explicitly recognize the validity of emails or online contracts, leaving ambiguity regarding when and where a contract is finalized. Although Section 30 of Contract Act can be utilized to address uncertainties in online transaction, the Act treats all parties equally, neglecting specific safeguards for consumers. Hence, for a consumer to be referred to based on the contract law, generally it is not strong enough to support consumers' rights because the idea of equal bargaining power, which is a crucial principle, does not apply to consumer transaction because most of the traders are able to enforce terms and conditions which are not favorable to consumers. Besides that are the Sale of Goods Act 1957, revised 1989 SOGA. This provision is the primary piece of legislation that governs the selling of goods in Malaysia. SOGA is assumed to be relevant to electronic commerce as there are no explicit or implicit regulations that restrict the sale of goods over the internet. Even though the law follows the buyer beware principle to protect consumers in e-commerce, there are still challenges as online shopping comes with risk because buyers cannot physically check products or communicate directly with the sellers. Due to this, e-consumers face more vulnerability than traditional customers. However, the primary safeguard for online consumers lies in the regulation concerning the implied conditions in Section 15 of SOGA. The provision stipulates that the products that are delivered must precisely comply with the provided description by the seller. This is important because e-consumers heavily depend on the description that is offered on the store website. Section 62 of the SOGA permits express statements or terms to exclude implicit conditions in a sale contract. Therefore, online customers are legally bound by the phrase "the goods sold in this online shop are non-refundable and non-exchangeable." This limits e-consumers from claiming rights for low quality or damaged items, which is an injustice. Now I will pass to Deva to explain the cases under SOGA.
In the case of Member Saccharine Co. Limited versus Corn Products Co. Limited 1919, the buyer contracted for 280 pounds bags of starch, but the seller delivered 240 pounds and 140 pounds of bags of starch. Since the statements were vital to the contract, McCarthy judge rejected the seller's claim that 280 pounds was not necessary. The product description includes them. Why was bag size clearly mentioned in the contract if it wasn't important? Merchants must provide things as described in the contract and cannot claim another description will satisfy the buyers. Even though the customer did not incur any damage, the Court of Appeal held in the case of Rare Moore and Launder 1921 that they could reject the entire shipment because it did not match the description in the Section 13 of the Sales of Goods Act.
The Consumers Protection Act 1999 CPA, which is the first legislation explicitly designed to protect consumers in transactions involving goods and services. The CPA is applied to both offline and online transactions, providing consumers protection regardless of the transaction method. The CPA has been shown to protect online shoppers from misleading advertisement, deceptive business practices, and unfair business practices. Part 11 of the CPA focuses on making sure that customers receive sufficient and accurate information, which is helpful because many problems arise when customers are unaware of the supplier's product.
Okay, Miss Marina, I understand about the provision, but is there any advantage regarding to this SOGA?
Of course, Miss Deva, for advantages, you have or you could ask for a replacement, repair, or sometimes even you can refund your money back because this SOGA is particularly designed to protect buyers like you in situation like yours. One of the main advantages today here that it has offers you a clear legal pathway for buyers who receive goods that doesn't match the description of quality accepted, and specifically, you have the right to be protected under SOGA to fit the purpose of your goods under description. So, to elaborate more on advantages,
delving into more precise advantages, the SOGA and CPA offers various forms of protection to buyers, ensuring that the goods sold under description meet specific standards of quality and fit for purpose. Section 16 subsection 1, clause A of the SOGA addresses the implied condition of fitness, where it protects buyer by ensuring goods are reasonably fit for the purpose they bought for, even if it's not for the usual purpose. This empowers buyers to rely on the seller's expertise and make informed decisions. Through this section, it shows that the buyer relies on the seller's skill or judgment, and the goods are of a description which it is the cost of the seller's business to supply. In addition, Section 16 subsection 1 clause B of SOGA establishes an implied condition that the goods being sold must be of a merchantable quality when goods are bought by description from a seller. In other words, if the seller describes the goods in a certain way, there is an automatic and inherent expectation that the goods delivered will match the description and in good quality. This provision plays a crucial role in promoting transparency and fairness in commercial transactions by holding sellers accountable for the accuracy of the product being sold. In the case of Sunrise Berhad and another, an L&M agency Sundan Berhad, the plaintiff, a developer and main contractor, purchased tower cranes from the defendant. The cranes malfunctioned frequently. The plaintiffs claimed that the cranes were not reasonably fit for their intended purpose. The court ruled that the defendant had breached Section 16, subsection 1, clause A. The specific purpose could be implied from the buyer's communication during negotiation. This highlights the importance of this provision in ensuring goods align with the buyer's communicated purpose, emphasizing the value of transaction based on detailed description rather than specific samples.
I'm going to explain further about the advantages. Aligning with the previous advantages, buyers also have the ability to compensate for the goods if it is not parallel with the description of the goods. Buyers can seek refunds, replacements or repairs if goods are not fit for purpose or of merchantable quality. This protects them from financial losses and inconvenience due to faulty products. Section 42 subsection 2 and 3 of the CPA work hand in hand to bolster the advantage consumers have in containing compensation for goods not matching their description.
Oh, Miss Marina, that sounds so reassuring. But are there any disadvantages or limitations to SOGA?
of course, Miss Deva, if there are advantages, there will be certainly disadvantages or lacuna. So, according to SOGA, one of the key challenges here are SOGA is there is a difficulties proving that the goods doesn't match the description or have defects that were not obvious before purchase. And also the process can sometimes be very time consuming, and if the seller is overseas, even the jurisdictional issue can be a complicated matter for you. So to know more about these disadvantages,
In exploring the benefits of sales of goods by description, it's essential to recognize the drawbacks that coexist. The lack of clear definition for key terms like description and sale by description creates ambiguity and hampers buyers' ability to seek remedies in case of a breach by the seller. This deficiency in protection exposes vulnerable buyers, such as those with limited resources, to potential exploitation by sellers, leading to unfair practices and challenges in seeking justice. Buyers may face hurdles in obtaining remedies for goods that do not meet the provided description, further amplified by the potential ineffectiveness of the implied condition under Section 15 of SOGA, which requires goods to correspond with the description. Moreover, the inadequate protection for buyers can lead to market failure by eroding confidence in the quality and reliability of goods. This in turn may result in decreased demand and overall market inefficiency, negatively impacting both buyers and sellers and hindering economic growth. An illustrative case is Ashington Piggeries Limited and Christopher Hill Limited in the year 1972, where animal feed described as herring meat caused the death of minks due to toxins. The court ruled no breach of implied terms of sales by description occurred, emphasizing the challenges of determining conformity with the description and the potential denial of remedies for buyers. This case underscores the importance of explicitly excluding implied terms in contracts.
Oh, I see, Ms. Marina. Since there are disadvantages regarding to the provisions in SOGA, as a legal professional, can you suggest anything to overcome these problems, or in simple way to protect buyers like me in online shopping?
Yes, Miss Deva. As a legal profession, I wish there are a lot of ways that can improvise SOGA and give protection to you, and especially for the buyers like you. So in this legal world, I would like to suggest to improve SOGA in a way.
And I would like to present about the suggestions for enhancing the protection of buyers in the sale of goods by description. The first suggestion is that there must be clarity in description, such as encouraging the adoption of standardized formats for describing goods in contracts or sale agreements. Besides that, sellers must promote rigorous quality checks to ensure that goods match their described specifications before sale. Secondly, enhance consumer redressal mechanisms such as advocating for easily accessible and efficient dispute resolution mechanisms. This could involve establishing specialized consumer courts or mediation services dedicated swiftly resolving disputes related to misdescribed goods. Focus on educating consumers about their rights regarding goods described inaccurately by promoting awareness campaigns, highlighting the importance of verifying goods upon delivery and understanding their recourse in the case of misdescription. In the case of IP Muda Berhad against Bakitan Selia Berhad and others 2010, the contract was a contract of sale of goods by description. Based on this case, stricter penalties or liabilities should be imposed on sellers who intentionally provide misleading or false descriptions of goods. Furthermore, there should be collaborative measures by the industry stakeholders to develop and adhere to standardized codes of practice for describing goods. By incorporating these suggestions into the legal framework and business practices, Malaysian law can better protect both buyers and sellers.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Marina. I will start to gather the documents right away.
Okay, welcome, Miss Deva. So if you need any help, you can come to my office and enter us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marina.
So, I hope Deva can find a solution about her concern under Sales of Goods Act. In conclusion, safeguarding the sales of goods by description is important in order to maintain buyers' trust and ethical business practice. The legislative framework in Malaysia emphasizes the responsibility of sellers to ensure goods correspond to their description, to fortify buyer protection, standardizing description, improving consumer redressal mechanism, and collaborative industry measures are proposed enhancement. Rectifying flaw is crucial for installing confidence in both buyer and seller. Strengthening the legal framework and promoting responsibility business practice are going to contribute to marketplace integrity, ensuring a fair balance between buyer and seller interests. By implementing this recommendation, Malaysia can foster a trustworthy environment for transaction involving goods described, aligning with the evolving nature of commerce, particularly in online transaction. Thank you.